Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, the Americans and the Russians met in Abu Dhabi to discuss the revised plan, Trump's revised plan. Europe is left out, but has an option to kick the door into the negotiations. Kallas, the infantile foreign minister of the European Union, was snubbed by Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State. He didn't want to talk to her. It's okay. She thinks that Russia should not be reaccepted into the G8. I don't think Russia wants that, and much more. So let's start with the first topic, which is the Russians met the Americans in Abu Dhabi. Well, that's great, because until Monday evening and Tuesday, the Russians were not provided officially with the revised peace plan. That was revised in Geneva from 28 points to about 19. All right, let's start with the first one right here from Ukrinform. And none other than the new star, it seems to me, but I think he's appropriate to be sent to meet the Russian delegation in Abu Dhabi. So, US Army Secretary Driscoll meets Russian delegation in Abu Dhabi. Now, this guy is a busy bee. He went to Kiev. He yelled at those guys in Kiev, telling them, you got to make a deal. I don't waste my time here. I'm paraphrasing, but those, including he used profane language. That's according to the Ukrainians. So this guy went to Ukraine, which when I made a first video about this person, this US Army Secretary, I was like, who is this baby boy? I think he's like 38 or something like this. I mean, he has a very young face, nevertheless. And I said, who's this guy? What is he gonna do in Ukraine? Well, it seems like this big boy has got big balls. Well, we'll see how far and who he works for. I know his title is US Army Secretary. So let's see what he did with the Russian delegation. I haven't yet been able to find who is part of the Russian delegation. All right. US Army Secretary Dan Driscoll held talks with Russian officials on Monday in Abu Dhabi. An American official speaking on condition of anonymity said that Driscoll's discussions would continue on Tuesday, which is today. It was unclear who would be in the Russian delegation. The official added that Driscoll was also scheduled to meet with Ukrainian officials during his stay in Abu Dhabi. The White House has not yet officially commented on this information. Secretary Driscoll met with members of the Russian delegation Monday night for several hours in Abu Dhabi. He is scheduled to meet with them again throughout the day Tuesday to discuss the peace process and rapidly move the peace negotiations forward. There's no European Union member. There's nothing over there. None of the Europeans are in Abu Dhabi. So basically what happened? Not basically, exactly what happened. Someone gave an order to the Americans. You gotta end this. The Americans told the interest in Europe, that's it, this is it. Bring your baboon from Kiev, let me give you the information. They brought the baboon Yermak, and the Americans said, this is the peace plan. You have anything to say? We disagree. Nevertheless, the Americans took it, and the Americans are meeting the Russians, not the Europeans, not the Ukrainians. As, I'm sorry to say it, it's supposed to be, because it's not Ukraine fighting Russia. The Ukrainians are the gun, not even the gun, the finger. Everything else, the guns are the Americans, the brain, the muscles, the blood are the Europeans a little bit, and the Americans, most of it, Jesus Christ, I'm dying here. Anyway, so this is what's going on. Finally, the American says, you know what, let's drop the mask. I don't know how sincere this is. And let's talk to the Russians, because it's us. We are not mediators. We are part of the losing side. That's the way it is. It's not Ukraine versus Russia. Russia would have rolled the tanks all over Ukraine in 2 weeks. Which they almost did without NATO's support since then. So, this is the first one. Second one, this comes from TASS. I know these guys are lying all the time, right? But let's see what's going on over here. 25th of November, U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll meets with Russian representatives in UAE. So nothing here, again, it doesn't say who the Russians were. U.S. Army Secretary is holding meetings with Russian representatives in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. CBS News says, but it doesn't say who is on the other side. What's fantastic is, finally, if this is for real, things move forward. But hey, let's see what the Russians are saying about all this, right? Because the Americans said, this is Trump's peace plan. Okay, that's one side of the story. The other one is, let's see if the Russians agree to it. Because the Europeans flat out said, we don't agree with that. But the Americans told them, we didn't come here to tell you, hey, what suggestions you have or questions or something. No, this is the plan. I'm here to let you know. All right, so the Russians in the meantime, again, according to TASS, and not only, this is on the 25th of November. Look at the time, 6:55, right? Russia ready to discuss Trump's plan received via unofficial channels. So this is the initial one. The Russian foreign minister noted that those who engaged in megaphone diplomacy did not pursue noble goals. And he's talking about the French President Emmanuel Macron, and not only. Moscow has received US President Donald Trump's plan for Ukraine via unofficial channels and is ready to discuss it, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told reporters. And I'm quoting, we have it. We received it through unofficial channels. It wasn't sent to us officially. That's very strange, isn't it? However, just as the Russian president said, we are ready to discuss its content because there are a number of issues that require clarification. I would say most of it, he said, and I'm quoting again. Our American colleagues have not yet provided us with the version the media are speculating about. Those who engage in this kind of megaphone diplomacy certainly don't pursue noble goals. They make no secret of it. French President Emmanuel Macron has said recently that Trump's plan is unacceptable because it means a surrender to Russia. He also mentioned other objections, saying that everything should depend on Ukraine's willingness to adhere to agreements. I don't think so. You know who's the boss here. Serious diplomats discuss such things privately, the way they are supposed to, until a final agreement is reached, and then that's about to let us baboon know what happened. Because if you engage in megaphone diplomacy, then you have the mass media saying all kind of garbage, trying to derail the real negotiations. There are sensitive things discussed over there, and if the media are leaking, whatever they're supposed to, well, first, if I have a conversation with you inside a building, inside a room, who else is around? I guarantee you there's a lot of people, a lot of things around us. But hey, this is the way it is. Kremlin says it has not yet seen 19-point plan. So look at the time. This is today, the 25th of November at 12:03. But previous one is a good basis. So they didn't receive the revised one. This is at 12:03. At 12:12, from the same Ukrainska Pravda, Russia rejects peace plan updated in Geneva talks. So this is from 12:12. The first one was published, about 9 minutes. 9 minutes. So 9 minutes ago, they published this. They didn't receive it. And then after 9 minutes, they say they rejected the ones that they received. Didn't you say they didn't receive it yet? All right. And the last one from these baboons, from Ukrainska Pravda, again, 12:45. Russian foreign minister says Russia awaits updated peace plan proposal. But this is after this. Russia rejects peace plan updated in Geneva. Someone's lying. Well, these guys cannot even keep the chronology right. They say something, that they say something else. They say, my friends, these are baboons. But nevertheless, they think we don't look at the time. And we're going to go to the next one, which is kicking the European Union in the balls. Little balls they have. Thus, Europe had chances, plural, to take part in Ukrainian conflict settlement but missed them. The Russian minister recalls that it was Europe that disrupted the Minsk agreements, as France and Germany openly admitted later. Correct, if you're not familiar with the issue. In 2015, the second Minsk agreement was signed, where the French and the Germans, at that time it was Hollande, the president of France, and Angela Merkel, the chancellor of Germany, they were the guarantors that their boy, Ukraine will implement the Minsk agreements. The Brits were not, the Americans were not. So from the get-go, you knew it was not kosher. Why? The Brits will disrupt everything in their favor, which that's the way it is, my friends. You fight for your own interests. Nevertheless, in an interview with Angela Merkel, she said we did not intend to implement and push Ukrainians to implement the Minsk agreement. We were just waiting for them to arm. Then Hollande was duped by, Lexus and Mercedes, whatever those pranksters are, calling him and having a mock fake interview with him. And he said the same thing. We didn't mean to do anything. We just armed Ukraine for this. So that's what Lavrov says. So that's the first one that Lavrov says here. European countries have missed their chances to participate in the settlement of the Ukraine conflict, Lavrov said. Each time when progress was achieved and agreements reached, either in interim or more stable long-term, these agreements were broken, he said. Today, when our European colleagues loudly declare that there will be no Minsk agreement, that we cannot resolve anything at all without Europe because this directly concerns us. I should say that Europe has failed completely since 2014. The Russian minister recalled that it was Europe that disrupted the Minsk agreements, as France and Germany openly admitted later. He also stressed that it was Europe, however, represented by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, that dissuaded Zelensky from signing the agreements that the Ukrainian delegation itself proposed in Istanbul in April 2022. Everything is accurate. So, and I'm quoting, Europe, when they say now, don't you dare do anything without us, you already had opportunities. You didn't use them, you simply failed to act. Actually, they didn't fail to act. I think they act according to what their bosses says. Who are the bosses? The interest. Financial, economic, and military interests. These are the three as of now. All right, let's go to the next one and continue with Russia Today. European Union's humiliation in Geneva. No influence, no voice, no plan. The US has secured control of Ukraine peace process with Western Europe pushed out of the room. I just wanted to use this title because I think it clearly exemplifies what happened. And that's true. It doesn't mean that the person who wrote that is an analyst. Sergei Strokan is a genius, but I think it's normal. Some people, including said this for a long time. The European Union is just the representative of other interests. And American interests, the guys who are in charge of that, beat the European interests. That's all. But they didn't beat them like you're out. No, the European interest will receive something, but not as much as they want. All right, let's go to the next one. This is the European Union's way to worm itself into the conversation. And none other than Lithuania, 2.5 or 2.8 million people. This is Lithuania, a small little country with 2.8, I think, million people. No nuclear weapons, no military, no economic power, no nothing. They are the spearhead of the European Union instigators. So here it is. This is how they think they will get in, according to Russia Today. European Union must seize Russian assets to get ticket to Ukraine talks. Member state. The bloc will not be able to play a relevant role unless it acts now. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys, this baboon. So you understand what's going on here? European Union must seize. Okay? But Lithuania says that. So it's the same thing as always. Small countries with grievances against, in this case, Russia, but those small countries can have grievances against Germany, but they don't yet. Remember, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, these three Baltic states, were given, okay, given to Soviet Union by Germany. It was not Adolf who gave them. It was someone else. So the fact that these Baltic states are now hating very much the Russians from the Soviet Union, but not the Ukrainians from the Soviet Union, tells you this is a political button that was pushed. So they hate those guys instead of hating the Germans, who actually sold them to the Soviets. It's unbelievable. Soviets, not the Russians, and in charge of Soviet Union were the big guys, right? You know who I'm talking about. And that's it. But hey, it's just they redirect your hatred towards whatever those interests want. In this case, is Russia. And again, Lithuania is barking at Russia from the other side of the fence, and it's a big fence called United States of America. If the United States of America or someone, God, removes the fence, Lithuania will behave like a normal country, but it doesn't. Why? The fence is there. They're big and tough guys. The one-on-one, hey, how are you doing? I know this from my childhood. That was the first thing, man. When you go and someone talks shit about you, you corner the guy, you catch him when you play football. Hey, motherfucker, what did you say? Come over here. Come over here. And then, oh, no, I'm good, man. No, you're good. No. Okay, you don't smack him at that time. But then he runs away and he gets with his protector and he thinks he's tough, talking from behind the protector. And you say, Gigi, I'm going to catch you again and I'm going to beat you up. Why? You don't want to fight with the other guy because, it's real fights. Okay, catch you later. And you catch later the baboon in the streets. And again, you grab him, you beat his butt real bad, smack. And then next time when you're with your protector, keep your mouth shut. And he's not. He's doing the same thing. And the same process. Catch him alone, bam. He's behind, he's tough. And that's Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, and other baboons. Finland nowadays. Finland is the new tough guy in Europe, challenging the Russians. They think it's still, the Second World War. It's still, Stalin and his failed, even though they call it failed. Why? Because he didn't take as much as he wanted from Finland. He took this much, but still he took, he took 3 cars that you have, not 10 cars. Who lost? You. So Finland opposed. Yeah, that was fantastic. Brave Finns did it. But what you had then, the guys would then, now you don't. You don't have the same population, the same spirit. You are Europeanized. Okay, and let me show you what Rubio did. And it's a fantastic piece of news. I'm so fantastically happy about it. Sputnik. Rubio declines bilateral talks with European Union's Kallas on Ukraine settlement. This made my day. All right, let's see what's going on. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has declined to hold bilateral meetings on Ukraine with EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas amid tensions between her and the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump, media reported on Tuesday. One source was cited saying that Kallas is seen as playing the role of a bad cop behind the scenes for EU member states, and even Rubio, despite his pro-European stances, declined bilateral meeting with the Estonian diplomat. Kaja Kallas comes from Estonia, an even smaller country than Lithuania. Lithuania at least is 2.8 million people. Lithuania. Estonia, I think it's 1.3 million people. That means about, let's say 7 million, let's say give them 8 million people, adults. The rest are not fully developed. You know what I mean? Children, okay? That's why they don't vote and so on. So these guys are, that's not really why, but that's a different story. Why? You have so many imbeciles that are voting that should not, but they should not. Why? They don't know anything about the issue. They just go over there and screw up other people's votes. So she was over there, I can't remember, the prime minister, whatever she was in Estonia. And in Estonia, on population 1.3 million people, she was just catapulted to become the foreign minister of the European Union. 450 million people. What the hell raise that was? And you can say, yeah, okay, she deserves it. I want to hear one, not yapping around, one real measurable achievement that you can put on the table. Well, I don't know about that. Bring her here. We can try. But anyway, it's not about that. It's what's going on here. And she wants to talk to Rubio? I mean, this guy's disqualified her from the get-go. You are not only how in the hell you were promoted over there, catapulted, her statements speak for themselves. She's an infantile. That's my assessment of that individual. And as a free person, I can have my own assessments. All right, so what happened here? And this is the person who thinks that she rules now. Ukrinform. That's Kallas for you. Kallas rejects possibility of Russia returning to G8. Now she's the foreign minister of, how you want, diplomat, chief, foreign minister. I'm calling so we know what we're talking about. She says that Russia could not return to G8. Is she in charge of G8? I would like to know. And based on what? Again, she's from Estonia. 1.3 million people. She tells Russia and the G8, like China, like the Americans, not China, I'm talking about Japan, I'm sorry, and these guys, well, G8, right here, we're not going to accept Russia. Who the hell are you? An appointed official. For what kind of achievements? Zero. EU High Representative Foreign Affairs and Security Policies, oh my God, security too, stated that Russia's return to G8 format definitely not happening. I tell you what's going to happen. She's going to go, or she's going to be appointed as something else in the future because she does what she needs to do, talk, and she's aggressive and challenges Russia, and everybody right now is put like a badge of honor if they dare to challenge Russia without consequences. Because if there will be real consequences, Kallas would not talk. Or we talk civilized, normal. All right, with the nuclear power, strong and so on. But this is Kallas. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Russia, if it goes this way, as it seems right to go right now, will be invited. Now, it depends if Russia says yay or nay. Because these guys are trying to disrupt BRICS by taking BRICS, brick by brick from BRICS. We're going to try to take China. We're going to try to take Russia out of the BRICS cooperation, whatever, organization. That's what it is. Economic, developing countries, economic group. They try to disrupt it so they can then get you one-on-one on the alley. All right, so this is Kallas. You have no power, baby doll. You have just a potty mouth. Next one. Guess what? Zelensky to meet Trump this week to make a deal. The Kremlin has declined to comment on Western media reports that the US and Russian officials are holding discussions in Abu Dhabi. Ukraine's, thank you very much, Vladimir Zelensky. Bravo, I like this. I told Russia today so many times, stop saying the Ukrainian president. He's not Ukrainian. He's Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky, in charge of the Ukrainian nation. He's in charge of it, supposedly. He's just a he's just a overseer. Other interests are above. Plans to travel to the US by the end of the week to make a deal with President Donald Trump on an American drafted peace plan, Kiev has announced. French President Emmanuel Macron has said Washington's proposal still needs to be discussed, negotiated and improved. Discussed with whom? Negotiated with whom? And improved by whom? By France! Western media claim on Tuesday the U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll has been holding talks with Russian officials in Abu Dhabi, presenting them with a new version of the peace plan. The draft was reportedly amended during discussions between American and Ukrainian delegations in Switzerland, not the European delegation, over the weekend. The Kremlin has declined to confirm the negotiations are underway. Driscoll, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Ukrainian officials in American mission in Geneva on Sunday, as Trump's deadline set for Thursday for Kiev to agree to his proposal looms. Rubio said afterwards that tremendous progress has been made during the discussions. They were told, we're going to pull the rug from underneath your little hooves, and you're going to be falling on your big beak. That's what's going to happen. Western European nations, which were blindsided by the emergence of the U.S. plan, criticized the initiative and outright rejected possible territorial concessions by Ukraine. On Tuesday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the European Union and UK of attempting to undermine Trump's peace plan and distort the plan for their own agenda. Moscow is ready to discuss clauses in American proposals with Washington, he started. And what's going on over here? The good guys of the UK get in. Pa-pa-pa-pam. UK planning smear campaign against Trump Russian intelligence. Now, this could be a lie. But this also could be true. We're going to find out in the coming days. So what do you think the guys in London will do? London is counting on arms contracts fueling the Ukraine conflict and won't let the US just put an end to it. That's correct. Britain is preparing a smear campaign aimed at damaging US President Donald Trump's reputation. That's already gone in order to derail his efforts to end the Ukraine conflict. And here it is. Plans have been concocted to revive former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele's fake dossier, accusing the head of the White House and his family of having links to Soviet and Russian intelligence services. Oh my God, if that's what you got. You know what it is? This is my opinion as a free human being, supposedly. Donald Trump was picked and allowed to run and win the American elections because I think Donald Trump was blackmailed. That's what I think. He was scared. He was threatened. And he was threatened with incarceration, with the ending future Baron Trump's president bid. Obviously, Donald Trump thinks of Barron being the new leader of the world after Putin dies and Xi Jinping. That's the one. And the other one, this destruction of Trump's empire. Or if you want, a dynasty. Because in America we have dynasties. We have the Kennedy dynasty. We have the Bill Clinton wannabe dynasty. Definitely we have the Bush dynasty. The other baboons are trying to have their dynasty. You know who I'm talking about. Michael and Barack Hussein, okay? And then we have, obviously, Donald Trump. This who wants to be the last dynasty. I know, Ming dynasty, or who knows what, Antalepo, Papalepo, Egyptian dynasty. This is what's going on. So probably the Brits will start saying things in order for Trump to pump the brake, as Dana White says. Pump the brake. Exactly, pump the brake. Okay, I changed my mind. And it's very possible. It's very possible. Donald Trump at one point has to say, this is what you do to blackmail. You either go all the way in, you don't give this kind of signals, and you go all the way and say, yes, that's me, I did this, now here is my chest, do it, or you just shut the hell up and continue with the plan given to you. We'll find out if he's going to go all the way, because I don't think Donald Trump has the power. I don't think that the US president, not Donald Trump, the US president has the power and is really in charge of what they tell us is in charge, the presidency. I don't think so. After all, how do you get to be a president? Without those interests, you don't make it even at the, voting booth. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.